Welcome everyone to the Focus TV. We're joined by Octavia Wyatt, Raymond Lyons, Cardell Dudley Jr., Wilson Tarpe Jr. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 40. Octavia, let's hit the ground running. We got some NFC East as week 4 had one of those division battles. You said you had boots on the ground. So where we want to get started this week?
I'm gonna save that one for last because it was a lot. Let me just say that it was just a lot. I figure we might as well start with the easy ones because the other two games was pretty easy to look at. So we'll start with like the really easy one. Dallas played against the New England Patriots this week. They defeated the Patriots 38-3. Seemed pretty simple to me. Dak Prescott was 28 of 34, 261 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 carry for -1 yards. Tony Pollard had 11 carries for 47 yards and 3 receptions for 13 yards. Hunter Lepke had 2 carries for 4 yards and 1 touchdown. Jake Ferguson had 7 receptions for 77 yards, and CeeDee Lamb had 4 receptions, 36 yards and 1 touchdown, and 1 carry for 12 yards. Again, an easy game. I mean, look at this picture is wild. I'm just looking at it. This is wild. But that's basically how Mac Jones probably felt the entire night. Like, I can't even be mad because that's exactly what happened. After last week's, if you want to call it debacle against the Arizona Cardinals, Dallas, to me, I knew Dallas was going to come in here with a chip on their shoulder. They probably were tired of hearing about all the media stories that were happening all week about them losing to the Arizona Cardinals and their defense. Are they dominant? Are they not dominant? They are. I mean, I don't like it, but they are. For the second time in 4 games, Dallas scored twice on returns, on a fumble recovery and an interception. Their special teams also played pretty well as well. They had a fake extra point that I don't think anybody saw coming because I didn't see it coming. It was kind of a FU in my opinion, because it was just like, really, we have to do that right then and there. And then we know defensively, with losing Trayvon Diggs, it's a big hole to fill for them just because of the caliber player that he is. And it had a lot of people wondering last week, was it that big of a hole to fill because of the way that the defense played last week? But Deron Bland, who is taking over for Trayvon Diggs, had a really, really good game. He had his second and third interception of the season and his second touchdown. Also, Leighton Vander Esch, he scored on the strip sack by Dante Fowler, returned it for a touchdown. It was just pretty. They were pretty much clicking on all cylinders, to be completely honest. Again, if you want to look for an Achilles heel, it's the same one that they've probably been talking about for the last couple of weeks, just the red zone offense. I mean, they scored 38 points, but they only had 2 offensive touchdowns. So they had 2 defensive touchdowns. The special teams was involved very heavily in that as well. And their kicker, Brandon Aubrey, was 3 for 3 on his field goals and 3 for 3 on his extra points. So he accounted for 12 points as well. The red zone offense is just the one thing that, it seems like if you want to nitpick at something in a game, that would be the one that you would nitpick when it comes to this. The Cowboys were 2 of 6 in the red zone opportunity against the Jets, and they were 1 of 5 against the Cardinals, and then they were 1 of 4 against the Patriots. So it's obviously something that they need to work on. When you get that close, you don't want to continuously have to kick field goals. You want to be punching it in and getting touchdowns, especially as a competition is only going to ramp up. As we know, next week we were talking about before we got on is a big game, if you want to call it that. It's a big game just because it's against the team that's kicked them out of the playoffs for the last 2 years. And by some accounts, a lot of people think is the best team in the NFL, point blank period, NFC or AFC currently. They'll be playing against the San Francisco 49ers. Sunday night primetime games. Y'all know I don't like them. I definitely hope we don't play San Francisco primetime, but we probably do as well in the next few weeks. So it's going to be a game. That's the one everybody's going to be tuned into Sunday night. Hopefully, Michael Parsons will be 100%. He did leave this game with a leg injury, although he was able to finish the game. So we'll see how he feels throughout this week. It's going to be a crazy game. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited because that just means one of the other NFC teams has to lose. I'll be honest. I don't care which one, to be honest. Um, but it'll be an interesting game. On to the other very easy game to decipher for another reason, not because they won, but because they got drugged. The New York Giants played against the Seattle Seahawks and they lost 24-3. Daniel Jones was 27-34, 203 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 10 carries for 66 yards. Matt Breida had 14 carries for 30 yards and 5 receptions for 48 yards. And Wan'Dale Robinson had 5 receptions for 40 yards and 1 carry for 7 yards. I mean, just the fact that I feel like I always say this, when outside of some quarterbacks, and I feel like maybe some people might put Daniel Jones in that type of running mobile type of quarterback-ish type of situation. I just feel like anytime your kind of regular quarterback has the most rushing yards in your team, it's not going too well. Daniel Jones, was the leading rusher for them with the 10 carries and 66 yards. Matt Breida behind him with the 14 carries and 30 yards. He also led the team in receptions at 5 receptions and 48 yards. They need Saquon like I don't know who needs what. Although at this point, I don't even know if Saquon can save them, to be honest. It's crazy to go from where they were last year to where they are this year. A lot of people think they peaked pretty early last year and probably have more higher expectations this year because of how they played last year, even if they weren't 100% solidified in that type of play. But it's getting bad real fast. And it's always the same things with the New York Giants. We've been talking about it for, I feel like 10,000 years at this point. The offensive line is an issue. It's always been an issue. It's constantly been an issue, and it's going to continuously be an issue. It seems like it's kind of at the point where I'm wondering if the GM can accurately, depict what a good offensive lineman is, because the last couple of ones that he's been in charge of drafting has not panned out so well for them. Daniel Jones can be as mobile as he wants, but I don't think I've ever remembered a game where somebody got sacked 11 times. I know we've seen some 9 time, with last week with the Commanders and the Buffalo Bills. And I know last year the Eagles against the Commanders was about 7 to 8. But 11 times in a game, like Daniel Jones is still in the ice bath today, like right now. He's still there. There's no way. It's just bad. Like I don't even know. I don't even feel like it warrants a whole synopsis or an analysis of it. It's just bad. Like I don't know what it is. Daniel Jones has already thrown more interceptions in the first 4 weeks of this season than he threw all of last year. That's not good. The one thing that I feel like I thought would be a bright spot for them this year is that I feel like they got some better offensive personnel. They're missing in action as well. I mean, Darren Waller is a top tight end, and it's like he got to New York and either they don't know how to use him properly or he forgot how to play football. And I don't think it's that he forgot how to play football. It's just not working out right now inside their offense, and it's just bad all the way around. Jalen Hyatt, who is a rookie that is very, very fast. You would think that he would be able to get out and kind of open up the game a little bit for them. Still not working out well for them. It seems like Sterling Shepard is healthy, but they're not using him. I really don't know what's going on. I guess the only bright spot for them in this game is that Kayvon Thibodeau, who was virtually invisible in the first 3 weeks of the season, is starting to get a little bit of, some juice. He had 2 sacks in this game, but he can't do it by himself, to be completely honest. Special teams was a mess as well. They committed 6 penalties and a muff punt. And I don't even know the guy that muffed the punt, but he was out for the rest of the game. They didn't even give him a second chance when it came down to that. And I think Sterling Shepard used to return some punts for them back in the day as well, and they didn't even give him an opportunity to do it. They went out there and put cornerback Adoree Jackson out there to try to return some punts to give them some type of spark, but it just wasn't happening. Devon Witherspoon on the Seattle Seahawks had a day, and it was just bad. And I feel for the Giants because It's only going to get worse. They play against the Miami Dolphins next week, who is coming off of, to their standards and probably to a lot of other people's standards, a butt whooping that they took from the Buffalo Bills. They lost by 28 points after scoring 70 the week before. So I'm sure they're going to come up with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder as well. And that's not a good look for the New York Giants because it's just not going to be good. Like, I don't foresee that being a good situation for them at all. And last but not least, we had another interdivisional game. And yes, as Wilson said, I did have boots on the ground. I drove to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to see the Washington Commanders play against the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles were able to defeat the Commanders 34-31 in overtime. Sam Howell was 29 of 41, 290 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 carries for 40 yards. Brian Robinson Jr. had 14 carries for 45 yards and 1 touchdown and 2 receptions for 6 yards. Terry McLaurin had 8 receptions for 86 yards. On the other side of the ball, Jalen Hurts was 25 of 37, 319 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 carries for 34 yards. DeAndre Swift had 14 carries for 56 yards and 1 touchdown. And A.J. Brown, 9 receptions, 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Starting on the Commander side, I mean, number one, you got to give them at least a little bit of credit for staying in the game the way they did, especially after the butt whooping they took last week against the Buffalo Bills with the 9 sacks. With a rookie quarterback, sometimes and I call him a rookie even though he was in the year before, but rookie quarterback Sam Howell, it's hard to come off of a loss like that and bounce back and then after playing a divisional game. But he played probably his best game so far. If I have to be biased, which I'll be slightly, the Philadelphia Eagles defense didn't play well. So if I feel like I could have got a better gauge if the defense played well and Sam Howell still played very, very well, but I feel like the defense gave up a lot. Speaking of defense, their cornerback Emmanuel Forbes, the 19th overall pick, kind of off to an inconsistent start this year. He was kind of tasked with being on A.J. Brown. I don't know whose decision that was, but that's where he was. I know earlier when he got drafted, he had a bone to pick with Devontae Smith because of their college days and, how bad he did him when they played against him when Devontae was still at Alabama. It just wasn't that much better for him in this game. Like I said, A.J. Brown, 9 receptions, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It got a little chippy between them as well. The last touchdown that A.J. Brown scored, he did get called for a taunting penalty. He threw the ball back at Forbes. I understand, a lot of people in the media have been saying AJ's been frustrated, which is understandable. Again, with 2 new coordinators and a new offensive coordinator, of course, it's been a little bit difficult as far as with the Philadelphia Eagles offensive scheme. As bad as the game was, as far in my aspect of being an Eagles fan, it was probably the best overall offensive performance. Even though in the first half, the offense was kind of non-existent. I really wish they probably would have gave DeAndre Swift a little bit more carries. But at the end of the day, they did what they needed to do. The Commanders, their offense was kind of humming. Again, the defense on the Philadelphia Eagles side just could not keep up with them. The Commanders scored 31 points against what we perceive as a dominant defense. And you could see the effect of Eric Bieniemy and his West Coast style offense. He was pushing all the right buttons, and they were actually coming up and doing the things they need to do. I don't feel like Sam Howell held the ball too long. I feel like he was very more accurate than he has been so far this year. I think the biggest thing that, Commanders fans and people are talking about was Ron Rivera right for kicking the extra point at the end of the regulation after they scored literally with 1 second left? When I tell you I was in the stands losing my mind, I lost my mind. The fact that they scored with 1 second left to go to overtime, I personally think it was the right decision. It's a divisional game. These games count a lot more when you're trying to get to the playoffs, especially if you're having a hard time outside of the division. I thought he made the right decision, kick the extra point, take it to overtime, give yourself some more time. And just unfortunately for them, the Philadelphia Eagles were able to have a pretty good, showing in overtime on the defensive side. Probably the other biggest thing in the game was the officiating was horrible. Being there live, it was even worse. It was just bad for both teams, to be completely honest. Both teams probably came out of that feeling like the officials missed a lot of calls for them on both sides. But I mean, I just think this game was an offensive game. Both defenses really weren't that great. I don't think there were any turnovers in this game at all for either team, and you know, it was to me it was a typical NFC East game. I feel like all NFC East teams play each other pretty hard, outside of the Cowboys and the Giants this year. But I feel like everybody else pretty much plays each other pretty tough, regardless of what their record is, regardless of where they are in the standings. So it was definitely a good game if you are a Commanders fan. It shows maybe we can stick with some quote unquote high powered defensive offensive teams. And they actually have a really good chance in this week coming up. They're going to be playing against the Chicago Bears, who still can't get right. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to really watch a lot of games this week because I was literally at a game. But they were up on the Broncos and they had another crazy collapse. So, it'll definitely be, a way for the Commanders to step up and get a win this week. And they'll play Thursday, so it's a short week for both teams as well. So that's definitely going to be, a situation to see how that pans out for them both. And the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to play against the LA Rams. The difference in time and, granted the Rams, might not, a lot of people might have thought they didn't have a lot going on this year. Rookie Puka Nacua, he's having a career year in 4 games. I scooped him up really fast in fantasy. I'm very happy. And then you got to think about it. Cooper Kupp is slated to come back this week. I think he's practicing so far. I don't think they've 100% stated if he's going to play or not. But it's definitely going to be a good game for them as well. And we know the other man over there on that defensive team, Aaron Donald, he still ain't slowed down at all. So I need the offensive line to do everything they can to protect my man Jalen. And I don't know if that's going to be enough. So Jalen's going to have to be a lot more mobile in this game as well. But yeah, another typical NFC East week, I guess. And I guess we'll see how it goes next week.
For sure. It's crazy. We're already through 4 weeks. Still a very, very long way to go on the NFL side.
Yeah, we're already at buys. It's crazy. Like, people are on buys this week, and it's that fast how the season's going.
Yeah, and to think about it probably sucks nowadays. They added extra game to the season. If you got an early bye, it's almost like the worst thing in the world. You're playing forever. Week 17 seems forever away. You almost want to hope you have, like, the late buys almost probably seem like a blessing to some teams. If you can make it to like week 12 or whatever, you get a bye, like, at least you get to take a deep breath before the postseason. If you're good enough. If you're not, then you take a deep breath and start looking at your draft boards. Either way, but what we will be doing is taking a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk about the WNBA finals, because we're at that point of the postseason. We know who it is. I can't wait to ask you guys what you think about that matchup. You watching the Focus TV? We will return shortly. Welcome back. As promised, we're going to get into WNBA finals. So let me get this up for you guys real quick so you guys can see this. Make this easy. All right, so what we have is the 1 taking on the 2 seed. The 2 teams everybody was talking a lot about going into the year. 1 deservedly so, because you are the reigning champs, even though somehow that got left out for some people during the MVP voting. But we talked about that last week, so we're going to try to be adults and move on. It's going to be the reigning champs. Las Vegas Aces taking on the New York Liberty. Vegas won their semifinal matchup 3-0 over Dallas, including a very hard-fought closeout game that held them, had them showing off their championship medal. We all know how tough closeout games are. They held Dallas scoreless for 5 minutes. It was all defense at the end of that one. All defense, just heart. And again, that's why they're heading right back to the finals. That last 5 minutes totally... it was a great example of who they are. They're a tough-minded team that just happens to be damn good. On the Liberty side of it, they beat the Connecticut Sun 3-1, knocking off a very tough Sun team thanks to huge performances from Jonquel Jones and Benaj Delaney. The reason I'm bringing those two up because somehow people keep forgetting that they're over there doing quite a bit of heavy lifting during this run. So, you're going to see some pictures in a little bit when we get to talking about them. And if you're triggered at all somehow, hey, get over it. I don't know what to tell you. They did work. You take away their contributions, the people you love so deeply wouldn't be in the finals. So it's just that simple. We keep things honest here. We try to make sure we tell things how it is. And you can't tell the story of the Liberty this year without John Quell and Benaj, especially as it pertains to the postseason. So again, we got the top two seeds matching up in the finals. Ray, we'll start with you. Just your thoughts on this matchup. Then Cardell, then Octavia.
Yeah, man, the script has gone as planned. We got the two quote unquote super teams in the fight. I don't think anybody's surprised. I mean, this is what the entire season's been building up to. Every time they met in the regular season, the whole basketball world was on those matchups. Yeah, man. I mean, it's going to be a tough series. It's a lot of talent on both sides. I think the Aces have the best player in the series in Asia Wilson. But New York, they're more equipped to deal with her than any other team, I say. With Stewie and John Quill. Those are two athletic, long players that can, they can throw at her, and she got to deal with them on the other end as well. So, yeah, man, they're gonna have to really find a way to take advantage of that because I mean, Asia and Kia Stokes against Jonquil and Stewie. I mean, probably advantage Liberty, but she's a handful, man, and she's focused and angry. So they gonna have to deal with that because she's just been on the tear. I think she's got 3 straight 30-10 games with like 3 blocks or something crazy like that. So yeah, she's on a mission. She's focused. In the regular season, those the games that the Liberty won, their backcourt outplayed. So Kelsey and Chelsea Gray. But they're more than capable. We saw that last year in the playoffs. We've been seeing it all season. But you brought up Benaj Delaney, man. What she does on both sides of the ball. Just to reiterate what you said, man. Without John Quill and Benaj Delaney, the Liberty probably don't get out the first round. We just have to be honest about that. So it sucks that they're not getting getting the recognition they deserve. But they've been the 2 best players on the team in the playoffs. We just got to be real about that right now, man. And that's just what it is. And Vegas is going to have to offset that somehow. But they also have the tools to do that. Alicia Clark, what she brings defensively and her ability to shoot the ball and spread the floor. That's gonna pay dividends. And we saw in the regular season where the Liberty kind of used the anybody but Asia approach. That's not going to fly, man. Vegas has got a lot of firepower. They are a little top heavy, but yeah, man, they definitely have enough talent to win this series. As do the Liberty. It's going to come down to some chess matches on the sidelines. Those are the 2 great coaches, Becky Hammond and Sandy Barndello. So that's going to be fun to watch. What adjustments are going to be made. We saw the Liberty kind of go in and out of zone defenses in the last round against Connecticut, just to throw them off a bit. It'll be interesting to do that against a team with the shooters that Vegas has. But we'll see, man. I'm just looking forward to a great series, and yeah, man, let's get it going. It's going to be fireworks. I know Twitter's going to be jumping. Whichever way this series goes, I know the takes are probably going to be unbearable on either side, but that's what we're here for. But yeah, man, it's going to be a great finals. I'm actually glad that we get to see the matchup, so there will not be any questions when this thing is over with. And this is what sports is all about, man. The two best teams duking it out for the championship.
Cardell.
Um, yeah, like Ray said, once the trade was made in the off season, and free agency signing for Stewie, we kind of forecasted seeing this happen in the finals. The Liberty kind of building to try to beat the Aces, and we got it. They stay healthy for the most part. Obviously, Candace went down or whatever. Liberty been banged up here and there, and kind of get what on paper we expected to get, and then it should be fun. There's already a lot of drama within it because of the MVP voting. You know what I mean? Asia didn't have to say it; she took the classy way out. But I know her motivation is like, let me get the Finals MVP trophy. Then, that really shut everybody up. You know what I'm saying. So we all know what the Stars is. They kind of got the edge. Each team kind of got the edge. On the star lineup, the Liberty obviously kind of got the edge because of the front court. You got two MVPs in the front court. That's hard to deal with. Especially and then Laney, she ain't no slouch either. On some other teams, she probably would have been an all-star because she'd have had the green light to be let loose, give more shots or whatever. She'd have put up numbers to earn that. But on this team, she got to play a specific role. So, but on the backcourt, the Aces, I give that the edge. You know what I'm saying? Because of Chelsea Gray, no disrespect to Vandersloot at her current age. That's a tough cover. That's hard to deal with. And then when you look at Kelsey Plum, Sabrina ain't got no easy nights either. You know what I'm saying? And defensively, she can be hot and cold. So she got her hands full with Kelsey. And then Jackie Young, her and Laney. That's gonna be a hell of a matchup because that might be the X factor, along with the bench. People not paying attention to the bench a lot because we looking at the stars per se, but the reserves, which bench gonna play the best? Now, the biggest name on either bench is Alicia Clark. What I mean, got a few rings of her own, gets it done defensively, can hit big shots and whatnot. Throughout her career, been a big time starter. You got that coming off the bench. You know what I mean? But after that, it kind of gets iffy, whereas in New York, you got a couple of veterans like Dolson and Thornton and that they can throw at you, Johannes, all that. You got a couple of vets, man, but who's going to be consistent throughout the series? You know what I mean? When the starters got to get a breather, they got to get some rest, when you got to blend in. You know what I mean? So, it's going to be interesting. And also, this is why wins matter, man. Home court. Like those teams got to fly across the country, but the Aces got more games in their building. You know what I'm saying? Because they got the number one seed. So this is why you got to win, man. The little things add up. And when you finally get to this point, you're like, damn. You know what I mean? So that could be something. And then on top of that, the Aces have been there before. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the New York roster. Vandersloot, John Quayle, Stewie. That's about it. Stephanie, I think she was on that Chicago team. Epiphany, I think, with the Storm when she was back up. That may be it. But the entire Aces team been there before. You see what I'm saying? So including the coach. So that's an X factor, man. But it's gonna be a fun series, man. It's really gonna be fun. It's gonna be a little extra in there, unlike the fella side where these days it could be a little buddy. Ain't none of that with the women's side, especially when there's drama involved, and especially with the stakes as high as it is. So it's definitely gonna be some added motivation, man. I'm excited to see it, man. Because the Aces, it could be in dynasty mode. They really can be. So we gonna see what happens.
Yeah, and that's a great point right there. They got a chance. They have a very special chance to etch their names into a very sacred spot in W history. Like you said, you think about some of the groups that have repeated. Some really special groups. Really special groups, Octavia.
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much covered it all. I definitely think it's going to come down to some of the matchups. And like Cardo said, I definitely agree. I think the Aces backcourt is really going to test the New York Liberty's backcourt. I always feel like Sabrina can get hot, and that always kind of switches up how the game goes. But Kelsey and Chelsea, like it's going to be tough for her to get off like that. And we know just as well as Sabrina can shoot, we've seen Chelsea do it just as easily. And then I always think about, what happened throughout the season. As much as we've talked about both of these teams, like you talk about both of them being quote unquote super teams or whatever you want to call them, a lot of the games they played this season, it got a little bit, trying to figure out who's best, who's number one when it comes down to it. And if you think about it, the Aces were on the wrong side of a lot of those games, especially when they were on, an unprecedented like winning streak. The team they ended up losing to was the New York Liberty. So I always think about that extra chip on your shoulder where you're like, all right, y'all did that to us in a regular season. Let's see how it really gets down and when it really counts. So those type of things I always take into consideration when it comes down to it. I think Stewie has started to find her shot a little bit in the postseason. She had a pretty decent game in the last game for them to win over the Connecticut Sun. But yeah, I think the home court advantage, the fact that they've been there as a team already, they don't have a lot of switch ups that the New York Liberty had from last year to this year as far as personnel. They're still the same team they had last year with just a couple of caveat changes. Like it would have been crazy if Candace was still playing, but then with what they had last year, and they're just as good as they were last year. And you got to think about it, this New York Liberty is still, granted it's been a whole season, but you don't have that type of chemistry that the Aces are going to have, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to clutch time and who needs to be where and, what needs to get done at that point. So it's definitely, outside of the Mystics being in the playoffs, in the championship, these are the two teams I would rather see if our Mystics didn't make it. So I'm excited. The only thing that kills me is I hate that they're playing them on Sundays in the middle of the football season, because I just feel like it's going to take a lot of viewership away from stuff that people should be locked in on completely when it comes down to it. But I'm excited because I'm going to have a bunch of screens going on Sunday to make sure I get to watch everything. So I'm excited for it. And yeah, we'll see. I don't think I can make any predictions at this point. I want to see how the first game kind of goes, and we'll see from there and see who has the better feel.
As you guys all mentioned, definitely looking forward to a great series. And by the time we talk to y'all next week, we'll be able to recap game one. Look forward to hearing what you all have to say about the first game of what should be a very exciting and extremely competitive series for all the reasons that you guys have listed. We're going to take our second break when we get back. Wizards Media Day was this week. Training camp started. Get over to the channel. Follow us on social media. Obviously, if you guys want to check out some of the clips from Media Day, Cardo was out at training camp today, and we're going to hear what he took from today as soon as we get back. You're watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, we're going to get into Wizards training camp update. Cardell, the floor is yours.
Yeah, it was open today for every team in the league, from pretty much except for the Timberwolves, who started last week. But first of all, it was a delayed start. They had a 20-minute meeting from what we were told when we get out there, kind of set the tone for what I said was kind of setting the tone for what he expects out of this 4-day training camp before preseason gets here. Needless to say, it was a lot of defensive focus and a lot of conditioning. Wasn't a lot of offense until, later in the practice or whatnot. That's why you saw a lot of the team getting a lot of post-practice shooting in, making sure they stay in rhythm, getting a lot of reps up, because there's a lot of focus on the defensive end of the ball. I think everybody pretty much, up and down the roster understand they have a lot of offensive firepower. They got a lot of guys that can shoot. And it's not just the names, the Pools, the Kuzmas, or whatever. Kisper's one of the best three-point shooters in the league. Tyus Jones is as well. But you look at other guys, Anthony Gill can shoot from deep. Patrick Baldwin. That's what's keeping him in the league right now is his ability to shoot at 6'10". Mike Muscala, I'm watching him. He can shoot. Danilo Gallinari, he can shoot. Denny was out with an injury. I think he said a hip injury or whatnot that had occurred early in practice. So, we didn't see him. But it's a lot of guys they can knock down shots from the perimeter. Even the rook, Bilal Coulibaly, he got a nice form, got a nice stroke. I didn't know how he would look in the first day of training camp, especially with his legs, as you can see right here. He was knocking it down. He actually beat Johnny Davis in this round in a contest. Outshot him. So they got a lot of guys that can put the ball in the hole. We all know what it is with them, man. It's been the same thing the last few years. Will they get enough stops? And they're going to have to, especially this year. They don't have the size to let somebody get past them. They're going to get dunked on that will. You know what I mean? But also the thing we heard on media day, and Wilson knows, speed. They're fast. They're athletic. They can move. Well, if you're fast and you're athletic and you can move, should be kind of hard for guys to get by you at will. If you're on a string and if you're disciplined and you're fundamentally sound on defense, you can talk and your schemes, you're doing what you got to do, you're executing right. So they have the personnel to get it done. Even Jordan Poole, who's, let's be honest, man, is notorious for being a trash defender. We're going to call it what it is. Isaiah pretty much laying it something, the gauntlet down where it's saying like, he can move on defense. So I'm expecting him to defend. That ain't going to fly getting 30 but giving up 35. That just can't fly. We're not going to win. It's as simple as that. So, and y'all know my theory. If you can move on offense, you can move on defense. So I just don't really even want to hear all that, man. I'm scoring at this, man. I ain't got no energy for that, man. Look, yeah, you can get up shots. You damn sure got energy for defense because everybody knows when you score, you get a little bit of an energy boost. You know what I mean? You don't get more tired. So I don't want to hear that. Also, Daniel Gafford and Landry Shamet, they were out. They got banged up last week. Daniel Gafford had an ugly fall doing pickup on his elbow. So, taking it easy. So he wasn't there as well. And Shaman as well wasn't there. So, they didn't have their full team. But for the most part, everybody was there. Everybody locked in. I think everybody just in wait and see mode. Everybody's optimistic. They see they have talent, but they won't know till they get in the fire how everything goes, And, one thing us reporters were talking about, they brought it up, didn't realize it goes by fast. Shoot, Wes Unseld contract up after this year. And you know what I'm saying? Or he might got an option for another year. I got to look that up. But, look, it gets real. You know what I mean? So are they going to buy in? Because I got told Wilson on the Media Day show, to me, this is his first year where he can really coach and really do him. Because I feel like in the past few years, man, you had a bunch of veterans, especially a high-priced vet that, stuck in their ways and they trying to stay comfortable. And they weren't trying to, so to speak, bend the way they should to allow this man to coach him up. You know what I mean? Especially coming in as a first-time coach. Sometimes players can take that for granted and abuse it. You know what I mean? But he's been around the block now. He got some experience, and he got a young team. So I feel like he could really put his imprint on his team, and they can definitely try to match what he's known for, being a defensive coach. You know what I mean? So if they can get between top 10 or 15 in defense, I'm just being optimistic. They can be in that ranking with the firepower they have. They can be competitive every night. I keep saying, look, they're projected to be in the lottery. Let's just keep it what it is. It's they rebuild it once they started trading Bill and all those guys. Porzingis, that's what it was. But that don't mean you don't have some talent on your team and you can't sneak up on teams because they're not projected to do well. We already know over a long season how so many teams are going to come in and view them. They're going to sleep on them. And it's up to the Wizards to make it dangerous for them sleeping on them. You know what I mean? So they can, if they play up to what they have, they can sneak out some wins that they probably otherwise shouldn't get on paper. You know what I mean? And I guess the upper tier teams, the top tier teams, and if they beat the teams like them, that is considered lottery or whatnot, if they consistently beat them, then they can make a, I brought this team up yesterday, Brooklyn Nets team with Jared Dudley and those guys when, what's my man, big man from Cleveland, Jared Allen and all those guys, Fred Karras, LeVert, all those guys were young. They were like 42-40, made the playoffs, got into it with the Philadelphia 76ers, but they competed. They lost 4-1, but they competed. You know what I mean? But they exceeded expectations for what everybody thought they would be. That's what I feel like is the best case scenario for the Wizards this season. You know what I mean? And with the Wizards, they got far more firepower than what that Brooklyn Nets team did. It's just facts. Like Kuz and Poole alone, if they're on that game, can give you 30 apiece. That's huge. That's 60 points right there. And you get about 4 or 5 players to give you 10. You averaging 110. So if you just play average defense, you know what I mean? You should be able to get enough stops to get the results where over the course of the season, if you stay healthy, of course, you should be around 500. We're not battling for one of those damn sure. They damn sure should be a playing team. I'm gonna say that all outright. They should be a playing team because they got a couple guys that got rings on their resume that are young, and they're trying to prove that, hey, I am a guy you can build a franchise around. You see what I'm saying? Like everybody on this team has something to prove. Like they may not be for sure playoff team, like top 8 or whatnot. I know to play in 7 to 10, but traditional playoff format, I'm not gonna say that. They gotta prove that, but they should damn sure be competing to be in the play-in. That's really no excuse because the missing ingredient for these past teams with the Wizards is they didn't always compete. And it looked like guys were just trying to get their numbers and get their bread. And that's what it looked like a lot. Spencer Dinwiddie said as much in a couple interviews over the last season. And he was just saying that just to say it. You know what I mean? It looked like that on the court. So you could tell he's telling the truth. But you got a lot of young guys that got a lot to prove. So if you got a lot to prove and you're not willing to play hard, we all know what the next step is. You're going to be out the league. So, looking forward to seeing how they put it all together, man, because that's the vibe you get. It's just like we won't know till we know. With everybody from the ownership to, not ownership, the new front office to playing for unsale. You got guys coming from playoff teams. Tyus Jones, Memphis. They're coming from accomplished coaches. So how they gonna respond to this coach? You know what I mean? And Tyus Jones, I feel is the key to this team, man. I really do, because he's a true point guard in every sense of the word. You know how efficient he is, playmaking for guys, and not turning the ball over, and just being the ultimate professional. But he can score when he gets. He's in that, obviously not as good as John Stockton, but he's in that mode where that's how he plays. See what I'm saying? So, and I'm encouraged by that because, Kuz that missed his last 6 threes. I don't even know if he would even get to that with Tyus Jones on the floor. Like, bro, you missed the last 3. You ain't getting this rock. Poole hot, he getting the rock. Oh, Daniel Gafford ain't got no touch. Let me get in the lane, get him a dunk. Let me get him going. I guess he gonna do that. And that's what you gotta be as a point guard, man. You know what I mean? So a lot of bad habits. That's what I'm looking at. Has they gotten erased? And we won't know until we we get the battles. And preseason start to show some signs of where they at. You know what I mean? And then we can know where they're gonna go in the regular season if they stay healthy once again. So then Denny, another one, contract year, big year. And with the new CBA, guys, they understand now, like, is no middle class. You either making one year minimum wage, a couple million, or you making that Jaylen Brown money. That's pretty much what it is. You like, it ain't no in between. And they make that good 9-figure money, you got a bowl. It's as simple as that. So we're gonna see what it is, man. Simple as that, man. So they're not saying too much. You can tell I like Kuz's approach. We just working right now, mind on the work, and that's what it should be.
With the West Unsold thing, just to update, they, per the Washington Post, I think came out maybe a couple days ago, they picked up his 4th-year option. So he's here this year and next year. So again, going to that point, what you're saying, picking up someone's option is only 1 extra year, not fully extended, not a full, a brand new deal. That prove it thing rings through the entire organization right now for everybody. literally
I'm,
for everybody.
I'm looking at the dollars. Jordan Poole's making 27 million this year. Kuzma's making 25 million this year. Tyus Jones is next at 14. Dave Gafford is next at 12. And next is Landry Shamet at over a little bit over 10. The rest of them, it goes down to single digits. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of guys that got a lot to prove. And obviously, like I said, with the new CBA, man, if you don't ball, I mean, think about it. Kelly Oubre just got a 1-year deal in Philly. He averaged 20 last year, but it was on a bad team. So, you know what I mean? If he averaging 20, you averaging like 8, and he got a 1-year deal, come on now. You see what I'm saying? It's already out there what it's going to be, unless you got a hell of an agent. You know what I'm saying? So, destiny in their hands, man. Show and prove. That's the name of the game.
Yes, sir. And don't forget, y'all, follow the Focus TV on social media. Real simple, the Focus TV. For more Wizards updates as we continue to go forward. And also college basketball is like 10 seconds away from now. You know, everyone's officially had their first practice. It almost feels like. So that's coming up too. Moving gears to DC United. Quickly, though. Let's get this queued up for you guys. Look, man, we told y'all they need to win. It's really simple. You're going to see right here, taking on Vancouver. Vancouver starts off early with this goal right here from Brian White, giving the home side an early 1-0 lead. It was tough for DC United here. A nice counterattack from the Whitecaps, but you saw in the initial play, they had a chance to clear it. But I think it was Birnbaum had a chance to clear it. Didn't put nearly enough on it. Ball rolls out and just a little chippy over the top. Header in the back of the net. Brian White, I think that was his 14th goal of the season. So, you know, it's not a bad person to pass to, and clearly knows what to do with once he gets it. I think it was his 14th goal of the season and his 8th by way of header. DC United will respond in the 10th minute. Vancouver's playing out the back, and then one of the worst things happened, a little miscommunication between the keeper and the center back. Defender slips. You guys about to see this. This breaks your heart if you're a Vancouver fan. You're just thinking, not like this. Not like this. Just not like this. Way too easy. If you're a DC United fan, exactly what you needed to watch your team get back into the game. Christian Benteke with another goal on the season. They would go into the half tied at 1. Then in the 55th minute, Brian White gets taken down in a box. Taken down is a very strong word. You guys will see the replay as I continue talking in a little bit. You know, they go, at first it was not called. It did not look like it was a ton of contact, but good old video review. VAR, which depending on where your allegiance is that day when you're watching the game, nobody likes watching the officials head over to those screens because you always feel like nothing good is about to happen for your team, and your fandom's just, you know, you just over there going through it. But after review, they ruled that it was in fact a penalty, and Vancouver steps up. Ryan Gold does, and they capitalize. It was that simple. They go up 2-1. Matthias Klick in the 62nd minute, and it was a beautiful goal by Matthias. It was a half volley. The ball's it was initially crossed. It gets deflected. It bounces once. He fires the half volley, and then it also gets deflected past the keeper. So just tough for a keeper to kind of, you know, from an eye discipline standpoint, just stay with it. And here's what led to the penalty. Doesn't look like much, but, you know, again, video review determined it was a ton. But for DC United, it was really tough. They tied the game at 2-2 in the 62nd minute. Then the rest of the way, both teams get chances, but for DC United in the 65th minute, Benteke finds Pirani, and Pirani he just doesn't put the ball on target. And it was a heck of a golden opportunity. Had an opportunity to put that game away or at least go up 3-2. They missed that chance, so they leave with the 2-2 draw. So DC United receive 1 point. That result leaves the black and red in 10th place with 37 points in the standings. That means they're tied with Montreal, but they trail them by 1 spot on the table. So DC United is in 10th, Montreal's in 9th. DC United is still looking up at that for right now. imaginary line that's on the verge of becoming a solid line if they don't take care of business. They have a busy week. You got 2 games this week. They head out on the road to take on Austin FC on Wednesday. They return home on Saturday to play NYCFC. And this is the volley, the half volley from Click. It was a beautiful shot, and you had to feel for the keeper a little bit here. You couldn't track this once it bounced off bounced off one of your teammates. You could barely see it. Awkward pass, and that puts it away. But again, for DC United, you got 2 opportunities this week. Austin FC is 12th in the West standings, and NYC is 8th in the East. You need both results this week, so you got a chance to gain some ground on the 8th-ranked team. We'll see what ends up happening. It's really that simple, but we're going to go ahead and move things on, roll over to Rapid Fire. Cardell, what you got for us this week?
Yeah, obviously we're going to start on the NBA side. We all know about the big trade. The Bucks took a swing for 7-time All-Star Damian Lillard. After Giannis Antetokounmpo expressed his frustration with the franchise just a few weeks ago, they put off a massive 3-team deal. Milwaukee sent Drew Holiday, a 2029 first-round pick, and pick swaps in 2028 and 2030 to the Blazers. The third team involved in the deal, the Suns, acquired a handful of players from Portland along with Grayson Allen from Milwaukee. The Blazers will also acquire DeAndre Ayton just a few days later. As expected, the Blazers moved on from Drew Holiday, sending the 2-time All-Star to the Boston Celtics in exchange for Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, and 2 first-round picks. We're going to start with you, Octavio. What are your thoughts on the trades? And if these two meet in the playoffs, who do you have winning?
Whew, the East is getting tough. It's getting real out here in the East. I will say that I don't know why it just never crossed my mind of Dame and Giannis being on the same team, just because I really thought that the Bucks were pretty content with, Giannis, Middleton, and Holiday. So it never even dawned on me that he could possibly end up in Milwaukee. It's kind of nasty to be honest. The only thing I'm concerned is they lost a defensive player. We know Dame is not terrible at defense, but we know Drew Holiday is one of the elite when it comes down to it. I'm being nice, Cardell, okay? He's not a Drew Holiday. Say that. But I mean, they got a pretty nice team, Dame, Giannis, Middleton if he's healthy, Bobby Portis, Lopez. It's going to be a nice season for them. On the other hand, when I heard that, Drew Holiday went to the Blazers and then the Blazers were looking to move on from him, because of course, the Blazers are trying to stay pretty young. And even the young people that they have, because that was my West Coast team, I guess. And the young players that they have, they have a lot of potential as well. So I'm interested to see how the Blazers will, do in the West. Of course, you don't expect too much, but just to see how it all shakes up with them and see what Ayton eventually does with his career. But Drew Holiday to Boston was definitely needed for Boston after all of the defense that they let go as well. When it comes to Marcus Smart, Grant Williams, and even with getting Drew, to me, they still lost more defense and Robert Williams. And reigning 6 man. Not Malcolm Brogdon. Derek White. I'm serious. But to have Derek White and Drew Holiday playing together, both defensive minded players, it definitely helps them. And then, if Kristaps Porzingis can stay healthy, that gives them a dominant person on the inside. So I think both of these teams are going to be well at the top of the East. If they all stay healthy and they play up to their potentials. I do think it always says something for it to be this close to the beginning of the season. So you're going to have to see, which team gets the chemistry rolling quicker when it comes down to it. But I think they both put themselves in great positions. I think Dame is probably finally in a position that he's always wanted to be in, to be able to compete for a championship, which he'll definitely have the opportunity to do. So it'll be no more talk It'll be no more I didn't have no help. It'll be no more I didn't have the people around me to help. You got him there now. So now it's time to really go in there and do it if that's what he thinks he can do. But I think both of the teams got, better, maybe in different ways. But they're definitely top two in the East.
Wilson.
Dame definitely brings something I'm sure Milwaukee feel they need in terms of a very dynamic scorer, somebody who could, on nights, really pull defenses away from Giannis in a way maybe somebody hadn't before he got over there, right? And that's great. I understand why everybody's excited. So for the defensive side of it, you took one of the league's better defensive teams, and it's kind of ruined a little bit. Now, like, Chris Middleton has to be back, and he has to be back fully healthy. Giannis does a lot of covering for folks, especially playing next to Brook Lopez. Brook's not a spring chicken. And, we understand the positives of Brook. One of the things that allows Brook to kind of just focus on protecting the rim is Giannis isn't human and covers a lot of ground. And then the fact Drew could just, you never had to help Drew. You would just leave Drew so you can help other people. You're going to have to help Dame, just being honest. And I tell you, that was a very nice way that you said it. He's one of the worst defenders in the league. And importantly, you got away with it because unless you were a Portland fan, like you weren't, we didn't see anything bad really happen unless they were in the playoffs. And when they weren't in the playoffs, nobody was really watching Portland like that for the most part, especially on this coast. Now coming over here is on a big screen, sir. You're going to have to tighten up on that end of the floor. As for Boston, definitely hurts losing Lob Williams, but defensively, Derek White and Drew in the backcourt is just violence. You lost Marcus Smart, and I couldn't think of a better person to fill that, that what was a hole than Drew Holiday. And then if you think about it, we saw KP here, and obviously that's going to be one of you guys that's a big. What you just did was take so much pressure off KP. You can honestly, for the most part, just play drop. You got two of the better guards in the league in terms of navigating screens and Holiday and White. Brown and Tatum is solid on a defensive end as well. You still have the Al Horford card in your pocket, depending on how you want to use it. I feel like Boston got better out of the two of them. Obviously, again, Dame's gonna give them something they sorely need on the offensive end. I also don't like some of the depth they lost. I know people like Cardell, you were talking about people not caring about folks outside of stars. We're talking about the WNBA finals preview. Milwaukee has some quality depth, and they're losing some of it in this trade. So we'll see how things go. But I'm kind of leaning towards Boston, me personally.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Ray. We talking about the trade with Dame going to the Bucks and Drew going to the Celtics. What's your thoughts on it? And what's your thoughts on the trade? And also, they meet in the playoffs, who you had winning?
As far as the trade goes, it is what it is at this point, man. I guess the thing to do is cry till you get quote unquote help. But be careful what you wish for. In Dame's case, you about to go from a city where you were beloved and you basically could do whatever you wanted to do to being Giannis' scapegoat. Because if y'all lose, they not gonna blame him. Just get that out the way right now. You the one that cried and you got sent there, and you supposed to be the missing link. So there you have it. Enjoy that. Going from Drew Holiday to Dame Lillard defensively, that's tough. Having a ball in hand player like Dame paired up with Giannis, who has the ball in his hands a lot, it's gonna be interesting to see how they mesh. Yeah, man, it's going to be a lot to deal with. How does this affect Chris Middleton? They gonna have a lot to figure out, man. And should they meet Boston, I I got to get an edge to the Celtics. Pick, of course, Drew Holiday is going to add immense value anywhere he goes. Then you still got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to deal with. Porzingis, he's going to be in a position where he's not going to have to be the guy or even the guy next to the guy. He can just kind of play his role. Having Porzingis as a third option ain't bad. So in Boston they lost Rob Williams, which is going to hurt a little bit. But Porzingis has size. He's definitely not going to chase everything like Rob did, but 7-3 is 7-3 at some point. And then they got Al Horford on the bench still as well. So I would honestly give the edge to Boston if they met in the playoffs. But that Bucks thing, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out over the season. A lot of people are excited now, but we know how fickle the mob is. So good luck to both of those guys, man.
Yeah, it definitely both of them up at the top of the East easily. It's not even close if they stay healthy. Obviously, I think the main reason why they traded Drew is because he want that big boy money, and he's a unrestricted free agent like next year after the season. So they had to pay him. But the thing is, he'll be 35 when they have to pay him that big money. So do you want to pay a 38, 39-year-old Drew Holiday 200, possibly 250, $300 million? I don't know. And honestly, the answer is no. You know what I mean? Because I'm not even paying that for LeBron at his age. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not paying that for you, but he will be looking for that. Just think about what he's saying. Look, Jaylen Brown got 300. I got a ring on my resume. Where's my 9-figure? I definitely need in that 200 range. Brad Beal got 200. I got a ring. What's going on? That's how it goes. So that's the main reason why they traded him, and they got Dame. Dame offensively for the Bucks, hell yeah, it's gonna be tough to guard. You got Giannis rolling, and Dame can score from all three levels. Brook can pop out, hit threes, and you got Middleton on either wing. That's tough, especially when Bobby's out there too. Tough, extremely tough. And they're low-key big, man. They got both of the Lopez brothers. A lot of people don't know that this year. So Robin's there. You got Giannis. You got Giannis, man. They drafted the rookie Drew Timmy. I don't expect him to play much, but you still got him. That's 6'10". You got Bobby Portis. That's 6'10". They're bigger. They're bigger than Boston up front. They have more depth and more size up front, which could be a problem. I'm talking about on the Bucks, but on the perimeter, Boston has the edge. Obviously, you got Drew, you got Derek White, you got Tatum, you got Jaylen Brown. They drafted the Walsh kid. They can from Arkansas. He's an elite defender at the college level. We're gonna see if it transfer over to the NBA. You got the kid from Toronto, Delano Banton, the 6'9" point forward. You got him. They got Neemias Queta, who's the first team All G League guy. You got Luke Cornett on Boston, along with Porzingis, man. You see what I'm saying? So they got more of the type that will bother you on the wings. You see what I'm saying? Which they could throw bodies at the Baines, the Middletons, slow them down. I expect Giannis to do what he's gonna do because no disrespect. If the series comes down to Giannis and Porzingis, we all know how that's gonna go. You know what I mean? And they still got Al Horford. You can't knock that. So, and the two things that nobody's quite talking about, both teams got two new coaches. So we gotta see how they put it together, how they adjust. Adrian Griffin, he's the new coach with the Bucks. Mazzulla's basically was his first year after Ime Udoka did what he did. So this is his first year with his imprint because he went through a lot of crap where it was kind of sabotage with some of his staff. Because some of them quit during the season, then the rest left after the season. So you could tell they were salty that he got the job. When the rest of them probably felt like, hey man, I should have got it. So you could tell they weren't giving him his all during the finals, and he had to figure out a lot. So that wasn't cool, but it's the nature of the beast, man, with the envy and stuff like that, man. So now that he kind of got a staff that we built, you so to speak, instead of taking on the dope staff and stuff like that, we're gonna see how it goes, man. So it's gonna be interesting. It's definitely gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a hell of a chess match, man. And that defensive thing, it always seems to come back to that at some point. You see what I'm saying? So both teams can score. We know that they can score with the best. Who gonna defend the best? You know, that's something we gonna see when it happens, man. But I'm excited. It definitely has put the spotlight on the East, man. You know what I mean? So we're gonna see how it goes. Kind of running over time, so I'm gonna get to one more question, get up out of here. Stay on the NBA side of things. But two more questions. It'll be kind of quick. Clippers for Kawhi Leonard feels in no way obligated to play in every NBA game throughout the season, despite the league adding its new player participation policy last month. Leonard, who missed all of the 21-22 campaign, played in 52 games last season before tearing his right meniscus in Game 2 of the team's first-round series against the Suns. This forced him to miss the final 3 games of the postseason for the Clippers. As Leonard transitions back to the court for his 12th season, the Clippers start declining the notion of load management, with reporters on Monday during the team's media day, quote, "I'm not a guy that's sitting down for load management," Leonard said. "I work out every day in the summertime to play the game, not to sit down and watch others play. If the league is trying to mock what I did with the Raptors, it should stop because I was injured during that whole year. No league policy is helping me to play more games. The NBA's new policy blocks teams from resting multiple star players in the game and enforces penalties for teams that violate the mandate. The 5-team All-Star has not played in more than 57 games in a season since joining the Clippers in 2019. Ray, what are your thoughts on Kawhi Leonard's comments? As far as load management, he's saying he didn't do it. He was really hurt.
Hit dogs holler, buddy. As far as the Toronto year, he may have been. He probably was injured that year, coming off, with the Spurs and what have you. But it's 4 years ago, man. If you still damage goods like that, the way they need to have you on that type of restriction, might be time for you to go home and be a family man. Because if you can't even play most of the season, then like, why do we have you here? When he's on the court, he's one of the best. That's unquestioned. But if you're saying your body simply just can't hold up to the bare minimum of the NBA season, then we gotta have a conversation. But yeah, it sounded like he felt like it was directed at him, and it very well could be. Who knows? But he's not the only culprit. There's plenty other examples for him to take it that personally. Like I said, man, hit dogs is the ones that's barking. So, if you legitimately hurt and you need to be managed that way, then so be it. But, and if you're not, then this is your time to kind of put all that to rest and go out and play. They could be talking about his teammate, and several other guys, like I said. So, it's no need to take it that personally. So I just feel like that kind of hit him in a sore spot, just based on everything that's been said about him in the past few years. And if he is has been legitimately hurt for years on end, and people are saying all these things, I could see how that could affect him. But yeah, man, cut the crap. Just get out there and play if you can. And if you can't, then like I said, man, it might be time to reevaluate some stuff.
All right, Wilson.
Yeah, for me, it's I don't know. I'm probably on the fence with Kawhi just because we had a misdiagnosis. We know it's the degenerative knee, so we know those are two things that we know for sure, right? So he's probably one of the few guys I would legitimately shoot bail to, because of that. However, I mean, I'm not mad at the league doing it because we know there's a bunch of folks that aren't. There's nothing degenerative. There's nothing regularly going on with you. Like some folks are just taking the easy way out because they're allowed to. You know, you had Dame singing freely the other day, which is a whole nother topic in itself. When, you know, well, I was asked, told, or whatever to miss X amount of games for the pick, yada, 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 whatever. The bottom line is, in the past, before now, with all this added technology and all this stuff to help players, y'all don't play nearly enough games as a whole. It's ridiculous. It's gotten to a crazy place. Clearly, there was going to be some pushback. You know, in terms of his feelings, I'm not going to, you know, get into that. Like, again, he's one of the few dudes I shoot some bail to, but for the most part, man, there's a lot of dudes where it's like, we're in buildings enough to see folks, you know, somebody make a big play and your initial reaction is to jump up and do something. Bro, we were told your Achilles is hurt. We were told you can't, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's just as much of that stuff too. So that's why it's kind of murky. But like I said, just for me personally, I shoot him some bail because something degenerative, like, that's a different type of maintenance than some folks. However, we wouldn't be here if it's like anything else. They Carter, what we talked about last week was like, you give athletes, you know, some room, they gonna do too much. Let alone regular people. You got you have his peers where, you know, some folks they'll do anything to get back on the court or field. Other folks, hey man, I'm gonna let this thing stretch out for a month and a half. And that's why we're here.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. Like, I do feel like at times I give Kawhi a little bit of leeway just because he, like you say, he has a degenerate knee. But I think the hard thing is because he's so secretive about it. So it's kind of like, it was like when he went out, like there was really like, granted, I get he doesn't have to tell us anything. That's, you know, his own personal business or whatever. But to me, it's just like, it's so secretive. You're like, dang, when did he get hurt? What happened? Like, and everybody's just kind of like, what's going on? But I also agree with Hit Dogs Holler because if you didn't think you did anything wrong, there should be no reason for you to bring it up and start discussing anything. Like, if you feel like everything that you did has been on the up and up, then you should really feel like that this is being directed at you. It should just be a blanketed statement that is going out for everybody in the league to let y'all know that this is something that we're watching and that we're looking into. So if you don't think that you have anything to do with it, you don't load manage, even though I'm pretty sure the team that he used to be on kind of started this whole load management thing back when he was in San Antonio. So it's kind of like, it's hard to really decipher. But at the end of the day, like, if it don't got nothing to do with me, then I'm not addressing it. So I feel a little type of way because he addresses, so it makes me feel like he feels like he's in the wrong in some type of way, or he feels like people are looking at him like he's in the wrong some type of way. But at the end of the day, like, I honestly, I don't care. I just want them to play. You know, like, if you're healthy enough to play. Like, that should be the end of it. If you're not healthy enough to play, then don't play. And like Ray also said, if you haven't played, like, he played what you said, like 52 games last year. He didn't play the whole year before that. You know, we've seen NBA players unfortunately have their career cut short because of injuries. I mean, Lonzo Ball hasn't played in who knows how long, and he's still swearing that he's coming back after his third knee surgery in like a year and some change. So we understand those players, but something's got to give at one point or another. And they forget that, you know, granted it's a game, but it's also a business, you know, so it's tough. But I feel like if he don't think he's in the wrong, then I don't even know why he decided to discuss this situation.
Yeah, I'm with Wilson. As far as like Kawhi, we all know he got misdiagnosed. He got a degenerative knee from that. You know what I mean? But I think he spoke up not because of the league ruling. It's different. It's different when like it's just a blanket statement. You think it's you, then he says something. His name's at the top of the list for this next TV deal that's about to be negotiated for between 50 to 75 billion. That's why the NBA came down hard, because on TV networks like, well, before we come to the table, what y'all gonna do about this problem about the stars not playing? Because they still getting the money. Meanwhile, fans getting at us, we losing viewership, which means we losing money, ad revenue. It's a trickle down effect. because fans are getting to the game because they're pissed and they don't know if the stars are playing or not. They get there thinking they about to see somebody and they in street clothes. You see what I'm saying? I think that's what really bothered Kawhi more than anything, because it seemed like more so him, he's the focal point for that, for the business side. And that's why he said, well, if the league is trying to mock what I did in Toronto, I was really hurt. So I think that has more to do with it than necessarily the NBA just putting a rule in place and saying, yeah, y'all low management or whatnot. This is not just him. We've seen a few of the Wizards over the last few years that are no longer here to do it. It's ridiculous, man. And, and I know what Dame said, the team, but bro, look here, man. I just went out center court and just warmed up with no jersey on. Even if you have my jersey, what you gonna do? You really gonna come in front of the fans? And I want it clearly. I'm trying to play, and you gonna say no? You really want to send that message? Because then everybody will know what it is. No, you're gonna give me my jersey and let me play. So if they really wanted to play, they can play. So that's bull. You feel what I'm saying? Like, especially when I hear stories like Billy King and all those guys talking about Larry Bird, like AI was being so banged up, we had to make him sit down so he wouldn't mess around getting injured when he'd be out for the season because he was playing through so many injuries. And AI was still trying to play. They had to hide his stuff. They had to literally hide his jersey to make it impossible for him to play. So that's what they had to do. That's what we grew up on. But I think it was just more the business side kind of, and that's different. When you kind of feel like you to blame for potentially missing out on a $50-75 billion deal, that is different. Like, you know what I'm saying? We ain't been in that position. That's a whole different ballgame. Like, hold on. We gonna chill, dog. I'm really hurt. Y'all ain't about to put this all on me. You know what I'm saying? So that's a totally different animal because that feeds a lot of people, a whole lot of people, man. So I think that had more to do with it. But regardless, these dudes need to hoop when they can hoop. That's what the big money's coming in for, and it's about to get even bigger, especially with this next TV deal. Like, it's just not going to look good to see, now $300 million players, that's pretty soon 400, and then pretty soon after that, $500 million players not playing in games. Ain't nobody trying to hear that, especially when the ticket prices going crazy. It costs like $200-300 just to have a family of 4 attend a basketball game, and they might be up in the nosebleeds, and I'm coming to see you and you ain't playing. Nah, play. I just gotta take that L. I'm coming to, no disrespect, I'm coming to see Dame, and there's a G League dude in this spot. No disrespect. That's how most fans are looking at it. The G League game is a lot cheaper than this game, though. If I wanted to see him play, I'll just go to the G League game. See what I'm saying? So I don't want that. Am I gonna get my refund back? No. So get your ass out there and play. You see what I'm saying? And that's just what it is, man. And last question before we get out of here, man. La La Land after sweeping the Denver swept them in the Western Conference Finals. Denver went on the top of the heat in 6 games for the NBA Finals, for the NBA Championship. The Nuggets went on to have a 3-day championship celebration. During that celebration, team broadcaster Vic Lombardi introduced Coach Mike Malone as the Lakers' daddy to the crowd, roaring in approval. While many laughed it off, Anthony Davis, still feeling the sting of the West Finals, said Monday during the Lakers media day that neither he nor LeBron had moved past the jab and planned to use it as fuel for this coming campaign. He said it's very, quote, it's very motivational. I mean, obviously, KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, former Wizard, is my guy. So you kind of congratulate him, like, you got this one. But it was just a lot of, like, the talking and the Lakers' dad. There was just so much of that going on. It was like, all right, we get it, y'all won. But me and Brown had some conversations like, we can't wait. There's no more victories. It ain't like, oh, we had a 0.3% chance of making the playoffs and we got to the West Finals. Nah, we feel like we had enough to win. Obviously, we had to climb an uphill battle for 2 months trying to make the playoffs, but it's a lot of motivation. You want to win. Anytime you lose, it's motivation to get ready for the next season to try to compete for a championship. So that in itself is motivation, but also all the little talking that's been going around all summer. Ollie Clifton, the interviewer, said, you heard it. AD said, yeah, I'm not on social media, and I heard it. Just thoughts on AD's his comments and all that. Wilson, we're going to start with you. And LeBron and the Lakers being mad at the talking.
I knew you was gonna do that. I should have turned my camera off or something. Y'all got swept in the Western Conference Finals. It took that comment to stir something up deep within you to want to come back and get back. That comment, not a picture like this with this man who did whatever he felt like doing, whenever he felt like doing it, for that entire series. Soundboard shuffling over your soul, but it's that comment from a TV broadcaster. Unserious. Just unserious. Shut up. Come back to camp. Ooh. They won. They can say whatever the hell they want to say. You had a chance. Last time I checked. Matter of fact, yeah, 7-game series. You got to win 4 times. Not great at math. How many chances is that, Anthony? LeBron? Coach Ham, etc. Like, what the hell are we doing? Seriously? Mike Malone's your... They can say whatever they want to say. Y'all can't say nothing back because it was a broom. It was a broom. Like, it wasn't... Nothing. One of the greatest players of all time. You. Together with the group, the revamped group, and all that other stuff with, the stuff your GM did in 0 games. I won't even speak on. I don't even think you should be allowed to say anything if you didn't win a game in the series in which you have an issue with. You should be locked in trying to get right. Like, worry about what the West looks like right now. Like, you also part of a team that's off injured. Like, there's so many other things I feel like the Lakers could be focused on. A weird comment from the Denver Nuggets broadcaster about Mike Malone. Where was this animosity when about stopping Jokic? Where was all that then? Like, it's just unserious, man. They're very unserious.
Tavi?
Yeah, it seems very bitter, and I don't even understand it. As we know, most of the times when these championship parades are going on, there's a lot of libations happening as well. So half the time, most of the people that are participating in these parades are intoxicated. So they're just going to say whatever they want to say regardless. I mean, it's a part of it. So I don't understand why, like Wilson said, that one comment is like sticking so deep inside. Maybe it's a male ego thing, somebody calling somebody else your daddy. I don't know. But yeah, like I'm over it. Like y'all definitely got swept in the Western Conference Finals. I'm pretty sure every other team that played against the Nuggets at least won 1 game throughout those series. I might be wrong, but yeah, y'all got swept, and I don't like. It comes with the territory. Like, you went to LA for this exact reason, to be honest. Like, you're in LA, you want to be the talk of the town, talk of the NBA. That's what y'all signed up for, and y'all got swept by a team in Colorado. And granted, this was their first time winning a championship. They can say whatever they want to say. Like, at this point, like it is what it is. So yeah, I think it's just kind of, it's a little butthurt at this point. It is what it is, I guess. But I just wish they would kind of just move on. Like, it is what it is. Y'all lost, and we're in a brand new season now.
Right.
Yeah, super unserious. Like, bro, like Wilson Octavia said, man, 4 games to 0. Like, do something then. Like, this, whatever comments you make is not going to erase that. And it makes it even more unserious coming from a dude that's ducking that center smoke. So, like, you can actually put your hands on this and try to do something about it. So yeah, save all the talk. Y'all got swept. It is what it is. And like, they relish in beating you. So you saying this, you don't think they going to use this as bulletin board material? So yeah, just get in the lab, man. You said you off social media, so why are you even paying attention to it? just go hoop, bro. And it's mighty funny that he's out front making this comment. So should they meet again, and God forbid they lose, guess who's gonna be the punching bag? Like I don't understand why he continues to set himself up like this. Yeah, man, go talk to Six. I ain't got nothing to say about that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, every time the Nuggets play the Lakers this season, I'm going to be watching, and I'm going to be laughing. So yeah, if they don't got nothing to deal with with my man number 15 here in the picture, it's going to be the same result. So unless you plan on stopping them or doing something about it, then you should probably just stay far away from that conversation. But this is the age we're in. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, real quick, Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. AD, decent numbers. 21 to 14, 3 blocks. 6 to 15, decent numbers. Oh yeah, Nikola Jokic, 30, 14, 13, 3 blocks. You know what I mean? Like this been I don't know people paying attention. There's been a lot of people who done a lot of talking. They've been getting humbled. I don't know if people really paying attention. It's the world showing us, man. It's probably best to just do it instead of talking about it, because it ain't gonna be pretty if you don't get it done. We just saw it over the weekend with Canelo and Charlo. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was horrible. I feel for people who paid for it. You know what I mean? That was your fault. You know what I'm saying? Could have told you what was gonna happen. He talked too much. That's the problem. And for me, my theory is when you talk a lot, I know you're the weakest guy in the room. I know you are. Because you're trying to convince everybody. You see what I'm saying? Jokers don't talk at all. You know what I'm saying? They got to egg Giannis on for the most part with the same questions. For the most part, them brothers just want to hoop. That's why they up there. AD, like Ray said, you ducked the smoke. Bro, they had to get the corpse of Tristan Thompson to try to do something with this man.
I forgot about that.
Like, no, my man came off the street and played. Like, come on, man, because you couldn't do it. No, the Nuggets only went 7 deep. They only went they only went 7 deep against y'all. They only went 7 deep. And the two guys off the bench was Jeff Green, who's 6'9" forward, and Bruce Brown, who's a guard, 6'4" guard. There was no other big you had to worry about. 80, there was no other big you had to worry about, bro. It ain't like they had Brooke Lopez with Jokic or something, like another big. That's the only big y'all had. All y'all had to do was just deal with him. 30, 14, and 13, bro. He felt nothing the whole series. What are we talking about here? So because they said Mike Malone's the Lakers' daddy, he did say, because Mike Malone was talking shit in the Western Conference Finals, saying, "Yo, y'all putting the cameras on the Lakers all damn day. We whooping their ass. What about us?" And then they just went on to sweep y'all. They went on to sweep y'all. There's nothing to be said when you lose, young. Like I'm old school like that, man. When you lose, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear nothing, man. It doesn't make sense to me. Don't nobody want to hear that. Because if you all that shoulda, coulda, woulda, so don't mean to me. Because if you shoulda and you coulda, and you woulda, you wouldn't have lost. So it does not make sense to me, man. It's just like, dog, it's just too much talking. But I get it. It's media day. It's a lot of optimism right now. We'll see by like end of November. You're gonna see a whole lot of drama tweets. And you want is yep. You know what I mean? So that's
My fault. Like I said, this is just very, very unserious group of people over there right now, man. Just extremely unserious. Like you said, it's media day, but right, y'all had 4 chances to do something and did nothing. Like y'all ain't even make it get to 5. Like win one. Like
yeah, gentleman sweet. You couldn't even get that.
that's what I'm saying. Like you guys, the one of the greatest players of all time, you, who I'm sure you feel you're very proud of what you bring to the table, yada yada, one of the better, biggest in the league, whatever. The team with Jock Landale at center won 2 games. The Minnesota Timberwolves missing one of the best defensive wings in the league. They didn't have 0.
Didn't LeBron go crazy? He had like 30 in the first half or something like that.
And ran out of gas, and they quietly just let him get tired and took them out back and told him to go back to LA. The man won a chip and went home to go race his horses. Leave that man alone. Just leave him alone, man. Just leave it all alone. Yeah, Christian Braun out here contributing. Like you said, Tristan Thompson left ESPN studios to come play because y'all need help. That's crazy. I won't even speak. My man left the broadcast booth to just be a body to throw at this dude because y'all had nothing for it. Like, that's crazy. And you know he mad. He just had to come back to work. Y'all talking crazy already, man. Let that be a week that one of his horses lose. It's gonna be a long night for y'all, man. Leave that man alone. Well, thank y'all for tuning in, man. We appreciate y'all as always. Next week when we get back, obviously when we talk to you guys again, there would have been the first game of WNBA finals played. We'll be what's it called? Be closer to, I think, the Wizards' first preseason games next week as well. I have a lot of different updates for you guys. So again, thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to get over to thefocustv.com. Just a reminder, every Wednesday morning, this weekly show comes out on our Roku channel. If you have a Roku television or device, it's really that simple. Just type in the Focus TV in the search box, double tap OK, and you've added the channel. Y'all have a great week.